Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. My name is Richard Koritz. I'm proud to be the co-host of You Got to Laugh to Keep from Crying with my good friend, my old friend, my brother, my comrade in arms, O.W. Sweeney. Good afternoon, brother.
Good afternoon. You know it's a great afternoon when we can sit down and give the people something to think about,
right,
other than what the major news media speak about.
Right, and
but
of course, our sponsor is...
In the process, we're going to bring up the North Carolina Triad Jobs with Justice. Where you can reach us at 336-272-2758. Now, we're going to talk about the elected and the unelected president of the United States.
Yeah, I guess both of them.
Yeah.
And as I was saying to you, and you may be a little bit younger than me enough to not remember Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis, that were the Heisman Trophy winners at West Point, old Army football, back in the time of World War II, and in the 1940s. And together they were quite a tandem at running back, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And one was known as Mr. Inside, and that was Blanchard, who was a bigger, stronger man, and would run through the line. And Glenn Davis was the speedier fellow that would run around them. And so now I believe that what we're witnessing, these first incredible weeks of the second Trump term, is that we've got a Mr. Inside, Trump himself, that was elected with various threats, lies, a lot of lies, a lot of threats, a lot of cooperation from the billionaire bought Supreme Court. And he's Mr. Inside. He did get elected after all.
Yeah.
But then he put in Mr. Outside, the richest man in the world at this point, Elon Musk.
Whom I consider the president.
Yeah.
Trump is just a figurehead.
Okay. And I think there's some argument that could be made very much that way. I agree. But it's worth our viewers noting the fact that Elon Musk is himself an immigrant to the United States, as much as he hates most of the immigrants in the United States. And he is an immigrant, white South African.
Which makes him an African-American.
Well, in a sense it does, but it also makes him an anti-Afro-American, as well as an anti-African in his own right. So that's important, I think, for our viewers to know about this richest man in the world, who paid at least $250 million those last couple of months of the Trump campaign, into that campaign. And what he's getting for it is the opportunity to pillage the U.S. government. So I think one of the things that I noted this week, O.W., and I know you're going to have some insight on these things as well, is that it seems to me that Trump, as the president, has
the figurehead.
Let's go with figurehead. As the figurehead who draws the most attention, has done all kinds of crazy things over this period of a few weeks. And one of them, the most recent one, was yesterday's press conference that he held with a rogue
fascist.
A rogue white settler, colonial, and what's the one you
fascist.
Like? I'm talking about the Israeli.
As far as the Palestinians concerned, he's a fascist.
Well, okay, but he's also a colonialist.
Yeah.
And he's obviously
an invader
and an occupier, of Palestinian land, and that's really an important issue, because Trump had much fanfare in bringing Netanyahu, of all people, to the United States and to the White House, when Netanyahu couldn't even get into a lot of countries in the world now because the International Criminal Court has judged him to be
A war criminal.
war criminal, and he's subject to being arrested in a hell of a lot of countries.
Well, you say
in
subject,
this
and I
world.
say he should be arrested.
Did I say anything different? No.
You said subject.
He's subject to being arrested as well. He should be. How's that?
That sounds
okay.
good.
There we go. And but not in the White House. He was safe in the White House yesterday with Trump, and Trump used that setting to announce something that I don't think has ever been done, even in the biggest period of U.S. expansionism. Trump said, we, meaning him, is going to own, in the U.S., that he represents right at this moment at least, is going to own Gaza. Now we see sitting there with Netanyahu,
Who's grinning like a chess cat.
true, exactly, yes, and who is the main one that we have to say was responsible for the level,
Destruction.
for the outright destruction of the Gaza Strip, and Trump has the shamelessness, absolute shamelessness, to announce his plan for the U.S. taking over Gaza. And it goes against what the Egyptian and Jordanian regimes have already said that they're not going to do. They said it 3 days before this, that they are not going to either provide the land for, nor provide the opening for the 2 million Palestinian people in Gaza to go into their countries. Why? Because they want to stay in power, and they know that if they bring in those Palestinian people into their country, their countries, that it's going to absolutely destabilize those countries, because the Arab people and the Muslim people of the Middle East have a love for the Palestinian people. And they know that the Palestinian people have their own land. And Trump is planning to have ethnic cleansing or genocide.
That sounds like Netanyahu to me.
It sounds like
Netanyahu.
Yeah, well, or we could say Biden, because Biden sure as hell. You couldn't tell yesterday because there was no mention of Biden.
But I understand
absolutely,
that. But
Biden
don't you think it's
strange?
strange? Don't you think it's kind of strange that all those Palestinian people who voted for Trump because they didn't like the way Biden was handling things?
No, I don't think they voted
Oh
for Trump.
no, it was an overwhelming majority of Palestinians.
No, they didn't.
Yes.
No,
I remember one time they pointed out on news they had a Democratic mayor of a city in Michigan standing up talking about he's going to vote for Trump. Now I wonder how
that may be one. That may be one. That's not.
I
That's
just
not
want.
what
I
happened.
just want to know one thing: how that fool feeling there?
Yeah. Well, he never should have been saying that in the first place, because in Trump's first regime, he moved the U.S. embassy
to Jerusalem.
And so that was one of the most overt imperialist acts in that area, in the whole long, shameful history of the U.S. imperialists in the Middle East and particularly in Palestine. So this is the situation where Trump is providing. But here's the kicker.
Did you think
as shocking as it was, because when did a U.S. imperialist president ever openly say, we're going to own this place by driving the people out of that area, and we're going to get these other countries, as a couple of news people said at the end of it, sovereign countries, that we're going to force them to give us the land to place these Palestinian people in.
Well, all they have to do is tell Netanyahu and his crew to go back to Europe. We got all the land they need, and it's theirs anyway.
Exactly. That's the key thing. And part of what proves it, O.W., and this was pointed out yesterday as well, is that even though the north of Gaza has been the area of Gaza that's been most totally leveled, the people are returning to northern Gaza because that's where
their homes are.
That's where their home is, and they're trying to rebuild with just about nothing to work with.
Well, Israel should be made to pay for that. In other words, the United States of America, they bombed who tore that country apart.
Yeah, well, or in the United States and Israel, right? Absolutely.
Well, if Israel paid for it, the United States paying for it, what's the difference?
Well,
who funds it? Who funds Israel?
Okay, yeah, there's a lot to that too. Here's the kicker though, and let me raise one other thing. Talk about war crimes. I mean, talk about crimes against humanity. I don't think you've ever seen a president of the United States openly talk about this kind of ethnic cleansing, this kind of forcible removal of people, like specifically the Palestinian.
Well, people. You know, the United States of America have a history of that. If you think I'm lying, ask my brother up on the reservation.
Okay.
And my sister.
There you go.
All right.
Now you're talking. But there's also the fact that Trump threw out there the whole thing about of course, the thing that he ran on, that tariffs are going to magically reduce the prices on eggs and everything else, right?
Well, I don't know about you. Yeah. I don't know about you talking about Trump campaign on lowering prices, and I've been wondering how the hell he's going to do that, knowing that the people are not going to lower their prices. They're going to continue to make that money. This is what this capitalist society is all about.
Okay.
And therefore, I don't know if you noticed at the gas pump, but I noticed gas went up since Trump became president.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but even beyond that, those are fair points. But even beyond that, and this is the one thing the Democrats pointed to correctly, even though they were not listened to, and that is that the tariffs were actually a tax on the U.S. consumers, on the U.S. population, on the U.S. citizens.
When somebody raised the price up, who don't get the price raised up?
Yeah, exactly. The consumer.
That's right.
Right. The working class consumer.
That's right. The working class citizen, especially those on the bottom.
Right.
They have no choice. I don't care how high things go, that 1% can afford it.
So, beside the shocking scene of this rogue criminal Netanyahu standing and sitting next to Trump, while Trump is saying, and we're going to forcibly move the Palestinians, 2 million Palestinians from Gaza, into these other countries, specifically Egypt and Jordan and maybe some other Arab countries.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to force those countries to take them, even though those countries have just stated we ain't taking them. And the strategic interest, what they call the Abraham Accords, the strategic interest for the U.S. empire of Israel and Saudi Arabia linking up with each other is being blown up.
Oh, yeah.
Because Saudi Arabia couldn't withstand the popular pressure if they openly went with Israel against the Palestinian people in this situation. So they already said that our position is a two-state solution. Saudi.
Which state is that? Is that the Palestinians get their part of the North Africa? Two-state solution, mine.
Yeah.
And Netanyahu crew go back to Europe. That's my two-state solution.
Well, that's better. That's better than any other one.
Okay.
That's better than any other two-state solution I heard for that place. But I just want to go on with this because this is just one of the crazy, openly vicious, brutal empire moves that Trump has made in these 2 weeks. What about his threats against Canada and Mexico? I mean, why not take on maybe the two closest countries to you?
Weakest country. We'll just say weak country. We'll say militarily they're weaker than the United States.
They are.
Because they only went up 10% on China. China got some stuff over there for them. All right.
Yeah.
Mexico and Canada don't.
Yeah.
They don't
So
have
that's
that
why
anymore.
that's why they got the 25% thrown at
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's and you know, we live in a country in which there's been this long run epidemic of massive violence within this country. And yet the experts on violence in this country have never thought to say that what the empire has taught the people of the United States is that might makes right.
That's right.
And so where the heck do you think it came from to have all of this epidemic of violence?
And just
in the
think of it,
United
all
States?
these threats they're leveling on Mexico, okay, where the drug cartel come over here and buy these with the best weapons in the world being made, which the Mexican government don't have,
Right. So
But-
they outgun the government.
but yet
yeah.
they're going to force Mexico to cut down the drug cartel.
Yeah.
They ain't supplying Mexico with those weapons
Right.
so they can fight back.
Right. But one thing that Trump and billionaire bullies behind him failed to take into account is the same thing that U.S. imperialism failed to take into account when you and I were young, brother, and in the Vietnam War. And Daniel Ellsberg exposed when he leaked the Pentagon Papers
Yeah.
that the United States intelligence, the United States military, and the State Department, the one thing they left out of their calculations, exposed by the Pentagon Papers, was the desires, the commitment, the courage, the abilities of the heroic Vietnamese people who drove the U.S. out of Vietnam.
That's right. They call
So-
it guerrilla warfare.
They sure did.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think the Palestinians trying to set up the same thing, but yet the United States want to give Netanyahu all that might to
That's right.
destroy them.
Right. And now you're so right, because in the news, as people, even the capitalist news media, were so shocked by this open, naked aggression, that Trump put on not only first on the Palestinian people, and then beyond the Palestinian people, on the rest of the people of Arabia, and including these sovereign states.
Yes, in North Africa.
And people were so shocked at this that it came out that Trump isn't taking into account the same thing that the U.S. imperialists, before they became an empire, but as they were going in that direction in Vietnam, he failed to take into account that there's sovereign states.
Yes.
That you can't just push Egypt and Jordan and other neighboring
Well,
countries.
I always thought it was a problem when Egypt and the rest of them made a truce with Israel. I always thought that was a problem.
Absolutely. And,
But I understood the problem. The problem was they wanted some money, and the United States can buy them off, so they was bought off instead of standing with the Palestinians. I always thought that was a wrong
and
move.
you and I, brother,
Yes.
see eye to eye
Oh,
on this
yeah.
question.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh, yes.
That's absolutely right.
And now they're paying a penalty for it
Okay.
because now the United States want to push some people in their country.
Right. Exactly. But anyway, so that was shocking. That whole thing was shocking enough. But then when you add in the threats to Mexico and Canada around this tariff stuff, and China, and a whole.
You think that was a
and wait
threat to
minute.
China? You think
Huh?
that was a threat to
Well,
China?
okay, and okay, Panama, Greenland. I mean, these are all sovereign states.
Nations,
It's sovereign.
countries,
Well, yeah, right, and
under their own rule,
exactly,
with their own dollars,
right.
with their own
Currency,
constitution.
with their own currency, yeah, absolutely. So here was a guy that, if he wasn't in the United States, maybe one or two other rogue countries like the United States, Netanyahu would have been under arrest if he went to them other countries And he was there, proud as a peacock, when
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
was spouting the fever dreams of the Israeli right-wing extreme. And that's exactly what Netanyahu was there
Wanted to hear.
to promote.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But in the meantime, Trump also put forth the birthright citizenship elimination.
Which means all of us have to pack up and leave.
Well, except for our brothers and sisters
On
and
the
the
reservation,
Native
yeah,
Americans.
yeah,
Right,
that's right.
exactly. But now two judges, one in Seattle and one in Maryland, have weighed in on the birthright citizenship, and at least one of them was appointed by Reagan, I think.
Yeah, one in Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle, exactly. And they're saying no way is this guy. But some of this, and this is
Where's the Democrats on this subject?
What Democrats? Anyway, now there is some motion, a little motion, and awful late motion, but what's happening is that behind all of these extreme Trump pieces of rhetoric and imperialist rhetoric and empire rhetoric.
And don't forget the Panama Canal now.
I did. I said I mentioned it.
No, I don't remember you saying
Okay,
Panama
well,
Canal.
we'll check it out when we see this program.
Okay, then I will. I will.
Me too. But anyway, but so Mr. Inside is Donald Trump, but Mr. Outside is none other than Elon Musk. Elon Musk. And Musk,
Immigrant.
yeah, and a white supremacist fugitive from South Africa, right on top of it, who also tried to play the same kind of role in Brazil under the dictator Bolsonaro.
Oh, okay.
But there they have a healthier society, at least to the point that there's a strong labor party relative to what we got in the U.S.
It seems to me in the United States, labor don't want to fight for labor.
Well, some of that is also the corruption that we
Yeah,
talked
the
about in
corruption,
relation
yeah.
to states and so forth, the corruption of labor leaders. But so it seems to me, O.W., that so much of the Trump so-called craziness and all is there to divert anyone that might be resisting the total pillaging of the United States government by Trump's appointee, Mr. Elon Musk,
You mean the
richest
president-
man in the world.
The unelected president of the
The
United
unelected
States.
president of the United States, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So Musk is going around. He seized the most sensitive information from the Treasury Department already. He's stopped.
Where's that branch
functioning-
called the Congress? The representative of the people.
Right.
I mean, the ones who's supposed to stand up and say, no, you can't get in here. Where are they?
Right. Oh, that's
Republicans or Democrat, where are they?
actually.
Why aren't they standing up for their people?
right. Well, because they're too used to being at the feet of the same billionaires, or at least some billionaires.
Oh, you mean the best politician money can buy?
I do. I do mean that.
In the United States of America.
Yeah. So what I think we want to point out to our brothers and sisters in this viewing area is that you can watch Trump, but you really better watch Musk and his gang of thieves as they pillage one department after another, and it's already.
I'm going to say this here one more time. I said it on other shows.
Okay.
Elon Musk didn't spend millions of dollars not to get a return on his investment.
Absolutely.
He didn't spend it for nothing.
Right.
And the people need to call they senators, representatives, and let them know. You
Right.
got to let them know that you unsatisfied.
Right.
You got to let them know you backing Trump. When the time comes at the election box, who gonna back you?
Right. Yeah. So anyway, but I think that's an important thing because you know, I'm not a.
And don't forget Greenland.
I mentioned Greenland.
I don't remember you saying.
Yeah,
Greenland.
well, now you got two things to check.
Okay then.
But anyway.
Well, then I'm just bringing them back up again.
That's fine.
Make sure people don't forget them.
Right, and because so much of it is what is like the magician getting you to look at something else while he plays that trick on you.
That's right.
And the guy that's playing the trick is Elon Musk,
That's
the
right.
guy that was not elected by anybody.
The unelected president of the United States.
Exactly.
Trump,
And yeah,
Trump's controller.
yeah. Trump's handler. Trump's handler.
No, he controls Trump.
Well, okay. Yeah. So, anyway, and one of the points that's been made by some of the talking heads, to their credit, is now Trump is offering the entire CIA a buyout. And then, you know, they're pointing out that these people, it takes a long time to train them and all that. But they said that these talking heads pointed out Congress has to pass the money. So how can Trump be offering buyouts to the CIA, buyouts to the USAID, the FBI purges that they're talking about,
And people being fired for doing their job.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sound like a right to work state to me.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know, brother.
Yeah.
So
right,
I guess
right
we're
to
going
work
to
for
we
less.
have to close this thing on down, my brother.
Right.
So
And we need our viewers to understand.
In our unity lies our
strength.
strength.